Hallo und willkommen zu Lonestar. Wir spielen Star Trek Resurgence. So, wir sollen also mit denen reden. Oh. Coole Waffen haben die hier. Irgendeine Flüssigkeit, ob das Wasser sein soll. Schwappt auf jeden Fall ganz schön viel. Dafür, dass es eigentlich sehr ruhig ist. Würde gerne irgendwie vielleicht mal ein bisschen Näheres über die Hintergrundinformationen hier rausbekommen. Appreciate Water, das klingt doch gut.
Soothing.
Nicht, dass es zu sehr plätschert und wir jetzt dann auf Toilette müssen. Landscape.
Such rough terrain. No wonder the Hotari are so tough.
Mit denen können wir anscheinend nicht reden. Ja. Sidron.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari.
Ja, aber nur weil wir nicht viel
the
machen
Federation
konnten.
would see through the Illidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
Das wird ihm nicht gefallen.
I will keep that in mind.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Illidians.
Not seized, reclaimed, and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Illidians could even realize their worst nightmare was upon them.
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Illidian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Illidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
I wouldn't say state of the art, but the Resolute is plenty capable and can hold its own against just about anything.
Let's hope
Ja, ich glaube, wir wollten uns auch ein bisschen bedrohen hier an der
It's the
Stelle.
only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Tylas.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying.
Das will anscheinend nicht jeder
you
Krieg.
speaking with Sidron, our national hero.
In
I'm curious, what did he
Anführungsstrichen.
say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat.
Aber he's ein Major Miner.
For the
Get
first
it?
time in our history, the
sorry.
Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
Naja, war sie da vorher?
I assume they've taken your place.
I was one of the Queen's most trusted advisors. And I hope to prove myself worthy of being so again. Which is why you're here. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to. But it never happened.
Da ist irgendwas faul, hm?
And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines.
Oh, they dug too
I
deep.
made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. But that's what concerns me. Whatever they're hiding, it can't be good.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Oh, ein Spion in den eigenen Reihen, sehr gefährliches Spiel.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Vor allen Dingen ist ja dann die Gefahr, dass damit nur die anderen, denen die Minen vorher, also denen da,
Sorry, I couldn't
dass
help but
denen da was
notice you
hilft.
were speaking with the Hotari this whole time.
Ja, die waren halt weiter vorne
I
gestanden.
figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least, that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Ja, aber das ist beides mal die Frage. What really happened oder skeptical?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You said they were primitive.
You said the Hotari were primitive,
Well, they are.
except for the part about weaponizing ion storms.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Ich glaube, die Bemerkung wird ihm nicht gefallen haben, aber wir sind ja nicht hier, um den Leuten zu gefallen. Wir müssen unserem Captain berichten. Hey. Darf man eigentlich nicht den Scanner benutzen? Und hier ist, wenn man so ein bisschen den Kopf bewegt, sieht man hier in der Skybox hier so einen Strich. Das ist ein bisschen schade. Hey. Das muss doch nicht sein. Aber vielleicht sieht man es auf YouTube nicht so. Ah, hier. The Moon.
That must be Tau. The place it all started.
Warship.
An Illidian warship. The Zeldi. They must want the Hotari to know they can use it at any time. But why haven't they?
Gucken wir mal, ob es hier noch mal irgendwas gibt. So, hallo erstmal. Ah ja, hier geht's nicht weiter. Hier kann man sich nochmal die Flaggen anschauen, die hier gehisst sind. Banner. Ja, keine Flaggen. Banner.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Davon haben wir noch die Tür. So.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
Naja, es waren nur die ersten Gespräche.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Naja. Wir haben zumindest einen Spion rekrutiert. Das kann man als Erfolg verbuchen.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Warp failed.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
Ja,
We need to know more.
Sturm.
Otherwise, it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
The scientific methods. Ja, den anderen wird sicher auffallen, dass mit unserem Schiff irgendwas nicht stimmt. Das macht uns natürlich verletzlich, ne? Dann denken sie, haben sie vielleicht noch eine Chance.
Distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Forward, backward, turn, strafe. The ionic storm will fill your path with dangerous hazards. Green lighting will damage your shuttle. Taking damage 3 times will fail the mission. You can fly through the rings created by the storm if you pilot carefully. Ich weiß nicht so ganz genau, wo ich hin soll.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Naja.
Nah, Lieutenant Commander Chovak's not so bad. You know, once you get used to him. And, I've learned a lot working under him.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to work harder to be a political animal like you. With this new first officer coming aboard.
Also steuern und gleichzeitig noch reden hier ist nicht so einfach. Dass man da noch das Richtige auswählt. Vielleicht hätten wir doch das andere sagen sollen, dass es, naja, wie kommen wir hier eigentlich runter? Ah ja, so. Dass man sich dann gewöhnen kann.
Transporting the first probe into position.
Die sehen wirklich aus wie ein Sensor aus der ersten Serie.
We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem? I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
Naja, komm. Wir sind mal
I've
nicht
heard
so.
some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Das
Test
könnten
is
sie ja
running.
nicht.
Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
Nochmal eine Chance,
With
irgendwo
2
dagegen zu
points of
stoßen.
data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
Klingt gefährlich.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture.
Was soll denn
Before
das heißen?
Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too. Of course, if you get an officer's commission, they'll put you on another ship.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people.
Ja, das kann gut sein. Aber es hat ihm zumindest gefallen, was wir gesagt haben. Navigational Scan, da sieht man so ein bisschen, wo die Gefahren sind. So, wir nähern uns.
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. Mark.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Hier ist eine Probe. Und nun? Was muss ich jetzt machen?
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Okay, Red Alert!
We're under attack and we didn't even know it. We need to stop them. Unplug whatever it is they're hitting us with.
Now, look here. It's our current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Elydians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Illydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Ja, wer weiß, was sie da gefunden
Commander
haben.
Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
Das geht doch sicher schief.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
Ja, der schaut ein bisschen hölzern.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
Ja, hoffe ich auch. Wir wollen nicht so schnell unseren Spion verlieren. We have to help her.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're
or
not
maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell
Dann hat er
that
natürlich
was.
recht. Da muss ich ihm ausnahmsweise mal zustimmen.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It
The
appears
Fernbedienung?
to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Lydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
Mal abgesehen davon, dass wir ansonsten nie mehr aus diesem System rauskommen. Also ohne Warp
As
hat
I
sich
was
das Ganze
telling
eh
Carter,
erledigt.
I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari.
Containment Protocol.
Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Chips rausziehen ist immer eine gute Möglichkeit.
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Da muss man aber aufpassen auf die Finger, nicht, dass man sich die
It won't
klemmt.
budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back.
Another
Any
pair of
excitement
hands.
down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Hier guckt so komisch. Wurde sie ausgetauscht? Be professional.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Here, I'll help.
Ja, und jetzt wäre es uns ohne Sicherheitsschuhe fast auf die Füße gefallen.
Yeah.
Safety
Thanks for
first,
the
wenn
hand.
das die BG sieht.
We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem.
Ja, es wird doch wieder aufgetaut.
You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
I thought security was the detail to be on. Now all of a sudden you're interested in engineering?
Just the engineer.
Na, das hat dir nicht gefallen. Oh.
Come on, start pulling chips.
Naja. Muss ich das echt für jeden wiederholen? Ey.
What's this?
Ich würde es nicht mit der
Kind of
Hand
crystal
anfassen.
formation?
Oh, ist es vielleicht biologisch? Der Scanner ist cool.
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level.
Ja genau.
What's it doing in there?
Pick up? Wirklich? Ich hätte noch gerne ein bisschen weiter gescannt. Nicht mit der
Wait.
normalen Hand.
Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination.
Da hat sie
Retrieve
völlig
the
recht.
containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device. Some kind of sabotage. Or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are.
Na komm
But I
bitte, haben
overheard
doch alle
talk
recht
about
hier.
the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals?
Very
Maybe the
strange.
situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships,
Dann bleiben die hier
or
alle
I could
hängen.
send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
We're at the edge of the quadrant. Help isn't just gonna pop over like we're in Sector 001.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
You talk like you've never had your backs up against a wall before. This is Starfleet. We solve our own problems.
Und wenn, dann tut der Chef nach Hilfe rufen. Nicht wir.
Okay, stand back.
Na, zum Glück
Get
kann man
this
es
to the
biegen.
containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
Ey. Ist sowas wirklich erlaubt auf dem Schiff?
For a
Hier,
second, I
bei
thought she'd gone
Starfleet?
cold on you.
Ja, hatte ich auch schon Angst.
Like she might have changed her mind.
Ja,
But I
so
guess this whole
schnell.
situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Well, of course she's taking it seriously, but that's her job. When she's on duty, she's got to be on the lookout for danger.
Yeah, but talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander
Symbols
Ryder was
and
able to work
legends.
behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Ryder, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylus managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
Bevor wir jetzt die Database durchschauen, schauen wir uns doch nochmal schnell unsere Entscheidungen an, die wir getroffen haben, ob wir noch irgendwas finden. Captain Solano liked how Jara expressed concern about any danger Tylus might encounter while helping the Federation. Echt, hätte ich ihm gar nicht zugetraut. Ich dachte, es wäre ihm egal. Miranda noticed Carter was unusually suspicious when she returned from Hotari. Aha, das ist mir gar nicht aufgefallen, dass sie da was hatte. Commander Westbrook enjoyed his conversation with Carter, coming away with the impression he's smart, pragmatic and content with his position aboard the Resolute. Das sind also die Eindrücke, die wir das letzte Mal gemacht haben. Bevor wir jetzt die Database weiter durchsuchen, machen wir an dieser Stelle lieber erstmal ein kleines Päuschen. Und ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen und wir sehen uns das nächste Mal.